Hi, welcome to Meta Minutes, your bite-sized pieces of the Metaverse. My name is Rene from Valorem Reply, and today we don't have a guest, but we will recap Season 2. The second season, in fact, was like Season 1, very insightful again, and I learned a lot from all our amazing guests, and I can tell you that it was very insightful and a lot of great knowledge was shared, and I hope you also learned as much as I did, and it was a valuable time for you as well. Before we dive into today's recap, let me introduce you to a tradition from my home region, the Ohr Mountains, Erzgebirge, as we say in German. And there we have handcrafted things made out of wood for Christmas in particular, like nutcrackers you might have seen before, or pyramids that are rotating, but also things called Räuchermänner. These are little like wooden figures where you can put like some smoking kind of piece inside of it, like a cone basically. And since Christmas is pretty soon here, in fact, it's not very long, like a month or so. I brought a new Räucherofen, like a smoke oven here for you, which is in the shape of a good old desktop computer. And as you can see, maybe you can see it. There's a little bit of reflection with my Kinect camera here, but you might be able to see there's smoke coming out on the front of the good old desktop computer here. So there's a lot of actioning happening. There you can see there's a little smoke. It's very subtle, but yeah, there you can see it. So how does it work? So basically, is made out of wood. It's just painted. But like in the back, you can open it, and instead of accessing like a graphics card, you have this little cone thingy in here, right? Which is again burning, and it's made out of herbs and other really good smelling things. And you burn this basically inside of these things. There are many different ones. Typically, it's in the form of a traditional kind of a craftsman. But my wife just got me this, as a smoking desktop computer because, we're nerds. I also have some folks here which are like people working at a computer, and the smoke will come out of the head and things like this. So anyhow, this is what we try to enjoy during Christmas season, these traditional handcrafted pieces. And that's what I brought here today. Anyhow, so let's talk about Season 2 of Meta Minutes. In Season 2, in the first episodes, we started it with no one else than Tony Vitilio, aka the Skarredghost, and you might know him from his very famous blog where he's covering all the news in the augmented and virtual reality space, and of course all things Metaverse as well. And he shared a lot of great insights in that episodes, and really enjoyed talking with him. He's such a funny guy, but also has so much knowledge, and he even discussed futuristic trends like augmented reality contact lenses. He were actually able to try out, or at least some early prototypes of those, and super insightful. Then I had the pleasure to welcome Sofia Moshasha, and we talked about the public policies for the Metaverse, which is an important topic since right now it's pretty much the Wild West out there with certain platforms, right? Where you might see things like, where people get harassed in these Metaverse platforms, and definitely you can see these issues out there that are actively a problem, of course. And so I think we gotta have certain regulations and certain policies for the Metaverse to make it a safe place for everyone, so that these platforms actually have to implement safe measures. Of course, like everyone is trying to do this, but I think it's important if we get some policies and regulations in the European Union, but also, of course, in the US and Korea and Japan and all other places, again, to make it a safe place for everyone where no one will feel harassed. And so that's why I think certain policies and regulation are very much important here. Season 2, Episode 3 was all about the real-world Metaverse, or the mirror world, and how the physical world can be part of the digital world, right? And for this, I talked with Matt Miesnix, who founded previously also 60 AI, which was acquired by Niantic and is now basically their visual positioning system SDK, which is really fantastic. And with Matt, I talked about his new startup called Living Cities, X.XYZ, and that gives you already a hint what they're trying to do there. And it was really fantastic to hear from one of the veterans and visionaries in an augmented reality space since many years, what he's going to build there with his new startup and the team there. The DPR Lightlaw joined me to talk about synthetic data and generative AI, which is definitely a big trend these days. I mean, I guess you all have seen some of these pictures that are produced by models like AI models like DALL-E 2, Stable Diffusion, Midjourney, and so on, where you're able to create these very good looking artificial images just from a text prompt, right? So basically, you give a text prompt where you describe what you want to get, and then these AI models basically generate images and content from you. And we're already seeing on the horizon the next iteration of those, where it's not just static images, but animations are already coming. And then the next iteration after this, which we already see some early prototypes, is with 3D content, right? So you basically give it a text prompt and say, hey, I want to have like a, kind of a desktop computer that is smoking or something like this. And then it will give you a 3D model. I mean, this is a simple 3D model, but you can imagine it could be much more complex. And so I'm really looking forward to this, because this will also democratize content creation in 3D for a lot of people, because this is, of course, a limiting barrier at the moment when we're talking about metaverse platforms and the content creation, that you need very specific expertise and very specific skills there in order to do this. Then in episode 5 of season 2, we had Diego Di Tomaso, and he joined me to talk about the decentralized real-world metaverse and the metaverse platform they are building, which is called Over, OVER. And they're doing some pretty innovative stuff there, I have to say. Like you can basically buy land plots, but not real-world land plots, although like you buy like virtual overlays at real world land plots, right? So you can have certain experiences there at a certain land plot, and you buy those via cryptocurrency. So it's decentralized, right? And again, you can basically buy these virtual land plots in the real world, and then you can have a spatial anchored experience there at the specific land plot, right? Because you own it, if you will. Of course, you don't physically own the land plot, but you own the virtual overlay on top of the land plot. And that's really, really nice and interesting. They have a mobile app and a few other things they're working on, also some neural rendering. And yeah, it was really insightful to talk with him about it. Jesse McCulloch from Microsoft talked with me about various ways to get started with developing metaverse applications. And Jesse is also a long-time mixed reality, augmented virtual reality community hero. And so we also chatted, of course, about the community, and I asked him what he thinks has changed during the last couple of years, but also in particular to the metaverse hype. And again, very insightful conversation again. And then in season 2, episode 7, I was joined by Fabian Kursdorf, and we covered the topic of boosting sales through Metaversal customer journey, which sounded like a mouthful and a lot of marketing in the end, but it was not. And Fabian is a really good guy, and he shared a lot of insights, and we talked about his experiences working on some really impressive mixed reality projects that have true impact for customers, like things like kitchen planning and much more. And yeah, it was no marketing there. It was really a lot of insights and how you can, design such solutions and where you can get a lot of value out of this. Paul Swider talked with me about the future of healthcare and patient care in the metaverse, and he shared some pretty impressive examples of how this can help for things like patient telemetry, like remote visits, but many more things. And I think in general, it's a super interesting topic. And for example, recently I saw a talk at the Global XR conference where in this talk, there was a study mentioned where they're basically using virtual reality to reduce sedation. So they don't have to use pharmaceutical sedation in order to put patients to sleep for certain medical procedures. They can basically use a virtual reality headset the patients put on, and then they can do a procedure like here at the arm. And with the other arm, you can still play a VR game and, are really fully distracted from the procedure that is ongoing. And they actually shared that 90% doesn't require sedation anymore. Of course, for only certain procedures, I guess. But really impressive. And again, there's a lot of stuff ongoing with VR, as particular with healthcare. But I think there's much more, especially if we think about metaverse, large communities and so on, where we can get a lot of value out of this. So this was the discussion with Paul. And then in episode 9 of season 2, I was joined by Zaid Zahim, who is not just a fellow mixed reality MVP, but he's also has been a refugee from Syria. and he has been working on a project to preserve the UNESCO World Heritage Site in Palmyra. And this is really amazing because he used a mixed reality and HoloLens to provide a really nice experience for showcasing this cultural heritage. And so we talked about this, and we also talked about how you build this, the next steps, because they're bringing it to the Metaverse, of course, and also how people can get started if they want to build something similar like this. And again, very motivational, and always great to chat with Zaid. And so it was a really good episode as well. Well, and now we're here with the summary of the second season of Meta Minutes. And well, I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Like I said, it's a big pleasure and honor for me hosting all the fantastic guests and having some really insightful conversations. And well, now we're already thinking about season 3, of course, for Meta Minutes. And of course, we want to hear from you and from you. What do you want to see in the next episodes? And we want to hear your feedback, the good ones, but also the bad ones, right? Only then we can grow. So please send over your topics. If you also have certain guests in mind, or you want to be a guest potentially, please reach out, send a mail, reach out via various social media channels. Would love to hear all about this, and would love to cover as much as we can in season 3. Again, thank you so much for joining us again for Meta Minutes, your bite-sized pieces of the Metaverse. Please watch our social, subscribe to our YouTube channel, watch our website to view all the previous episodes from season 1 and season 2. You can all find them there and watch them. And of course, let us know your feedback, and you will also see when we launch season 3 through all our social media channels. Well, thank you so much, and take care, and see you soon in the Metaverse!